The winning blueprint presents.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
I'm back. Welcome. You are in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. And that is the same thing that 3 out of the 4 participants in championship weekend said, as 3 of the 4 teams in championship weekend were there just a season ago. And so a lot of experience for these football teams in championship weekend. The only team not having previous experience from the year before, the Atlanta Falcons. And so that loomed large in their football game. As we start there, I want to get right into the proceedings. There's a lot to get to on this Monday. And so we're going to start with the first matchup on Sunday for the right to be called NFC Conference Champions and be the representative in the Super Bowl for the NFC. So the Atlanta Falcons were hosting the San Francisco 49ers. And it was a really good football game. Falcons jumped out to a 17-0 lead. And they really stifled the 49ers on defense early on, getting them off the field with 3 and outs, really feeding off the energy of the crowd. Offensively, the Falcons took the ball first, and they went right down the field, scored a touchdown. Got the second possession of the game after getting a 3 and out from the 49ers. They went right down the field again, this time getting a field goal. Julio Jones in the first half of this game, insane. 5 catches, 100 yards in the first quarter. I mean, he was absolutely destroying this secondary for the San Francisco 49ers. Everything that I said was going to happen in this game happened except for one thing. And this was a huge thing. The Falcons lost the game. I said the Falcons were going to win. They lost. Everything that I said was going to happen in this game happened. Falcons really dominated the first quarter. They had the football for probably over 12 minutes in that first quarter. If they didn't have it for more than 12, I tell you they were really close, because the 49ers rarely saw the field offensively in that first quarter. It was dominated by Julio Jones and Matt Ryan and that Atlanta Falcons offense. The second quarter looked much like the first quarter for the Atlanta Falcons. More Matt Ryan, more Tony Gonzalez, more Roddy White, more Julio Jones, as he scored his second touchdown of the game to give the Atlanta Falcons their largest lead of the game, 17-0. And at this point, the 49ers are reeling. They haven't done anything offensively. Defensively, they don't look like they can even slow the Falcons down. Forget about stop. How about just slowing them down? Didn't look like they could do it at this point in the game. But as we all know, this Atlanta Falcons team has an issue stepping on the throats of their opponents. We saw it last week, and we've seen it all season long, which is the reason why everyone has been having questions about this Atlanta Falcons team all season long. All season long, the Atlanta Falcons are good, but all season long was that killer instinct, knowing that if they jump on top of you, there was no light of day. You weren't coming back. There was never that dominance that you wanted to see from the Falcons. They're always a team that, by hook or by crook, found a way to win. Whether it was by 1, by 2, by 3, or by 7, they always found a way to win. It wasn't always the prettiest, but they found a way to win games. And in the postseason, if you get a team down 14, 17, 20 points, you got to step on their throats because everyone in the postseason is good. And if you give them momentum and the ball starts to roll down the hill, you can't stop it. This isn't the regular season. This isn't the New Orleans Saints. This isn't the Carolina Panthers. This isn't the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This ball gets rolling down the hill and you're playing against a really good football team, which in the postseason you see, which in the NFC Championship game, you know you're playing against a good opponent. Once that momentum starts going, it's hard to stop. And the Falcons, for some reason this season, could not show that killer instinct. And it really came back to bite them in this postseason. It almost got them last week in the divisional round. It came back and got them in this round. But they were up 17-0. And surprisingly enough, the 49ers, with a young quarterback, second-year man Colin Kaepernick, never panicked. And you say what you want about the 49ers. You say what you want about the Falcons. Credit must be given because I'm one of the people that think it's less about the 49ers' ability to withstand that initial punch from the Atlanta Falcons and really show a lot of moxie and poise and really show a champion's heart by not bowing out after really getting a barrage from the Atlanta Falcons early in this game. I really thought it was less about them and more about the inability of the Atlanta Falcons to close. But I won't take anything away from the San Francisco 49ers team. In fact, all credit must be given to them for them not panicking down 17-0. You could have thrown your game plan in the garbage at that point, and most teams would have. Bad teams would have. That's what separates the bad teams from the good teams. The good teams, they don't waver. They know what they have to do, and whether they're winning 17-0, losing 17-0, or it's a tie football game, they're going to go with their bread and butter. They have a game plan. They're going to stick with it for as long as they can. And the 49ers said it's early. We're still in the first half. There's plenty of time. We don't have to deviate from what we set out to do when this game first started, which is run the football. And when they struggled, because I thought the 49ers struggled coming out trying to throw the football early in this game, when nothing else was working and they couldn't get a first down, the 49ers simply turned to the running game. And it bailed them out. Their first touchdown drive that cut the deficit to 7-17 was basically predicated off of the run. I was amazed that they were able to run the ball so effectively. And look, I shouldn't have been surprised. The 49ers have been one of the best teams running the football all season long behind the Washington Redskins. So I should have known that if anything was going to save this team, it was going to be the running game to the rescue. But I expected the Falcons to really pounce on the running game and say, look, if you want to beat us, Colin Kaepernick is going to have to be the man to do so. Not Frank Gore, not anyone else, not LaMichael James, not Dixon. No one else is beating us but Colin Kaepernick. And on that drive, that particular drive that really sparked the 49ers, it was the run game. The run game bailed the San Francisco 49ers out of jail because without the run game, without that get-out-of-jail-free card, who knows if they're able to dig themselves up out of that 17-point deficit that they had early on in that second quarter. So that touchdown drive spearheaded by that San Francisco 49ers rushing attack was capped off by a LaMichael James touchdown run, which cut the deficit to 17-7. And it really did a lot of things. It calmed down the Georgia Dome. It poured a ice-cold bucket of water on that Atlanta Falcons offense that was so red hot to start the game. And it really gave the 49ers confidence that, hey, if we just play within ourselves, we can win this game. They went off and scored 14 unanswered points after trailing 17-0. So they added another touchdown, cut the lead to a 17-14 game right before the half. But the Falcons took the ball, went down the field, and it was a statement I thought that the Falcons needed to make. Hey, you've put together 14 straight points, but by no means are we done scoring for the day. And they go down the field, cap it off with a touchdown to Tony Gonzalez in the back of the end zone. And now it's 24-14. And it looks like the Falcons are going to be hard to stop offensively. The 49ers really haven't had an answer all first half. As you go to the locker room with the 24-14 deficit, if you're the 49ers, you say to yourself, we need to get stops defensively. Offensively, we've scored on our last 2 possessions. We're starting to really get into an offensive rhythm. Defensively, we need stops. That's right now the thing that's holding us back. Not getting enough defensive stops. If we can hold them down, we can win this game. And that's what the 49ers were saying. And as you know how I feel about getting the ball after half, this is why I feel like it's vital. And the 49ers, they get it. Harbaugh won the toss, deferred to the second half. And look, he was down 10. He needed to have the ball after the half. Say the Falcons get the ball after the half, up 10, they get it, they drive all the way down, and they get just a field goal. Now it's a 2-possession game. You're down 2 touchdowns instead of just 10. They go down and get a touchdown, and they're up 10, and it's 17. Now it's a 3-possession game. Instead, the 49ers get the ball, and they drive all the way down the field. Vernon Davis is absolutely shredding this defense on this scoring drive as he caps it off with a 3-yard touchdown catch. And now it's 24-21. 49ers are right back in the football game. And this is when the screws started to come off for the Atlanta Falcons. Too many mistakes. And again, the team that makes the least amount of mistakes in games that are close usually is the team that's going to win. And in this game, the Atlanta Falcons made the costly mistakes that ultimately, in the end, turned out to be the difference in this game. And they've really been the team all season long that avoided the mistakes, avoided the penalties. They had costly penalties in this game. And we'll talk about all those things a little bit later. Let's continue on. So it's a 24-21 lead for the Falcons. They get the football back and they drive back down the field. It's an impressive drive. They're moving the football. And Roddy White slips coming out of a break. Matt Ryan makes what I think is a really bad throw, because even if Roddy White comes out of his break clean, that ball needs to be on the outside. That ball was thrown inside, right to the waiting arms of Tyrone Colliver. And he doesn't waste an opportunity to make a play. He catches the interception. And the 49ers are in business. So they take that football and they go down the field and they're looking to tie the game. They send David Akers onto the field. He clanks the field goal. No good. It's still a 27-24 ball game. Falcons are ahead. If you're the 49ers, the one thing that you have to be worried about moving forward is the reliability of David Akers moving forward. Can you trust him? Hard to say right now. Hard to say, but it's 27-24. Falcons get the football. They do nothing with it. They punt it to the 49ers. And this time the 49ers take the football and they drive the length of the field. And this is an impressive drive. They go all the way down the field and they get to the 1-yard line. Crabtree catches the football, makes a move. He's trying to get into the end zone. As he turns his back to try to extend the football, he has the cornerback, Dante Robinson, draped all over him, and he reaches it and makes a magnificent play, rips the ball out. Crabtree fumbles upon impact of William Moore, who also hits him in the back as Dante Robinson is ripping the football out simultaneously, and it really helped facilitate that fumble. The ball comes out and is scooped up by Stephen Nicholas at the 1-yard line. A potential lead-changing touchdown is avoided by the Atlanta Falcons as they force the turnover at the 1-yard line. If you're the 49ers, that is a disaster. That's the worst thing that could have possibly happened at that time in the game. You're going in to take the lead for the first time all game and you fumble at the 1-yard line. Doesn't get much worse than that. Luckily enough for Crabtree, the defense, who had been playing really good football since about midway through the second quarter, they held it down, forced the Falcons to go 3 and out, did not allow them to get a first down from the shadow of their own end zone, and so they still had to punt. Gave the 49ers great field position. It was not a good punt by Matt Bosher, and so they were able to get great field position with the San Francisco 49ers. Ted Ginn gets a nice return. How many times did you think the Atlanta Falcons were going to be able to beat the odds? You keep giving the 49ers opportunities to score, and what did you think was going to happen? You got away with the David Akers miss. You got away with the Crabtree fumble. How many times did you think you were going to beat the odds? Finally, after the short punt, the good return by Ted Ginn Jr., the great field position, the 49ers went down the field and they scored a touchdown. They take the lead on a Frank Gore trollop into the end zone, 28-24. Frank Gore gives the half dirty bird, decides Nah, get out of here. You're not worth it. They take the 28-24 lead. And so now the ball is back in the Atlanta Falcons court. Matt Ryan had been having a great game to this point. The one interception has been the one glaring mistake, but again, he's been lights out in this game. And so now he needs to define his career. To this point, he's been defined by not winning in the playoffs. He got that monkey off his back a week ago. Now he needs to define himself as a quarterback that when it is crunch time, when his team needs him the most, in the most critical game of his career, he needs to step up and take his team down the field. And that's what Matt Ryan proceeds to do as he takes the Atlanta Falcons offense down the field, making big throw after big throw. They're starting to run the football just adequate enough. No Turner in the second half as he sprained his ankle, wasn't able to give it a go. So they were mixing it up with a little bit of Snelling and a lot of Jacquizz Rodgers. And so they were running the football effectively. They were starting to throw passes. They were starting to get guys involved. And then an inexcusable, unforced error on the part of Matt Ryan. No miscommunication by the center. It's a great snap. Matt Ryan just simply takes his eyes off the ball, muffs the snap. He's in the shotgun, comes right to him, drops the ball, then tries to grab it, knocks it over toward the defensive end, Aldon Smith, who pounces on it before Matt Ryan could get his hands back on it. And the 49ers have the football. And when that turnover occurred, just like the last one when Ryan threw the interception, they were driving the football in San Francisco 49ers territory. This time, they were actually well within range of Matt Bryant. And so he took points off the board, 1 and 2. They were looking to take the lead with a touchdown. If I'm not mistaken, that muff came on first down. If not first down, definitely second down. You can't have unforced errors. That was nothing that the San Francisco 49ers did defensively to take the football away. That was an error on the part of Matt Ryan. You can't have it. And again, costly turnovers at the wrong time of the game. And for the Falcons, at the wrong time of the season. This is a team that took care of the football this year. Didn't have a lot of mistakes. Didn't have a lot of costly penalties. On one of the 49ers scoring possessions, the Falcons were getting off the field, and they got a personal foul, roughing the passer, blow to the head penalty. Now, I thought this was a sketchy penalty at best, but he did hit the quarterback in his head, but I would have liked to have seen them not throw that flag. I thought that was a very touchy call, but again, a team that hasn't really been penalized this season picked up a couple of personal fouls in this game that really helped the 49ers put points on the board. And you can't do that. You can't do that in this critical juncture of the season in this type of football game. And I thought that the Falcons weren't the disciplined team. The Falcons weren't the team that they were all season long. They didn't make mistakes. They didn't turn the football over. They didn't have the costly penalties. In this game, they did all of those things, and it ended up biting them in the tuchus. However, all of those things aside, the Falcons find a way to get enough stops to give themselves one final chance. And let me tell you this. I've been talking about mistakes all season long. One of the mistakes that I've always talked about, using your timeouts frivolously in the second half. You can't do it. You need all of your timeouts. A-L-L. All of your timeouts. The Falcons burnt one senselessly early in the second half to save themselves a 5-yard penalty on a delayed game. Guys couldn't get lined up. How about you just take the 5 yards? I know it sounds asinine to take a 5-yard penalty because you don't know what that drive could result in. You take a 5-yard penalty on 2nd and 2, turns into 2nd and 7, and you end up being short by 1 yard on 3rd and 7. You have no one to blame but yourself for taking that penalty, but your timeout is so much more valuable than a 5-yard penalty to me. I just feel like in the second half, in the first half, go ahead, call that timeout. In the second half, take the penalty, especially in close ball games. You can't afford to use your timeouts. You never know what you'll need them for. And in this case, the Falcons needed their timeouts. We'll get to that a little bit later. I keep foreshadowing. Let's talk about what happened to get to that point, though. Let's talk about what happened to lead up to that point. The Falcons get the football back, finally. And the same score, 28-24. Falcons are trailing. So the Falcons start driving the football. They come to a crucial third down. Matt Ryan throws a pass to Harry Douglas, who's wide open. And here we go again. Matt Ryan needing to make a great throw. He made a good throw, not a great throw. Harry Douglas needed to step up and run under that football and not have to dive on the ground. If he catches that in stride, we're talking about a touchdown. Instead, Harry Douglas has to dive to corral it. He's touchdown, and we're not even sure if he catches the football or not. They go into the booth to replay it as the 49ers look to challenge. It looks a little sketchy. It looks inconclusive. The play on the field was called a catch. They had to leave it that way. I agreed with the call because I felt like you couldn't really tell if it wasn't a catch or not. Looked like the ball moved, but his arm was under the ball. His hand never came off the football. You could question whether it was a catch or not. It stood. So the Falcons continue their drive. They get all the way inside the red zone to about the 11-yard line, and then they face fourth down. And this is a big one. So we're under the 2-minute warning. Falcons need this score to take the lead. They're down 28-24 in the football game. We're under 2 minutes, right around the 1:30 mark. It's fourth and about 4 from the 11-yard line. And Matt Ryan, who hurt his shoulder, and we later found out that he sprained his AC joint in his shoulder on a play where he was throwing the football, completed a pass, but was hit and really dropped down on that shoulder. He was hurting, and you could see it on his face. He was grimacing. He was favoring the shoulder. He needed to make a play. And I thought that he went to the well one too many times. Now, look, he throws the ball to Roddy White, forces it in there. It's tight coverage. It was pass interference, no doubt about it. Bowman, the linebacker, was all over Roddy White. Now, Navarro Bowman is excellent in coverage. He's an all-pro. He's a pro bowler. He's all of those things because not only is he a short tackler, not only is he a guy that's capable of getting after the quarterback, but he's excellent in coverage. That's what separates linebackers from good, average, and excellent in all pros. The ability to cover in space. Because every linebacker that's playing that position should be able to tackle. Some can get after the quarterback better than others. But where the difference really is can you cover in space? Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis do that better than any other linebackers in the National Football League. They cover well in space. Well, on this particular play, Navarro Bowman was absolutely assaulting Roddy White. He had his hands on his shoulder the whole route. Wouldn't allow Roddy White to get to the football. And then at the end, he swatted it down, did Navarro Bowman, but not before absolutely assaulting. Felonious assault on Roddy White was not called. But at the corner of the picture, if you watch closely, Tony Gonzalez was wide open. I thought Matt Ryan did not read the field well on that play. Thought he left a open Tony Gonzalez out on the field. And look, I know Roddy White, Julio Jones have been your go-to guy. Tony Gonzalez is the man right there. And I just thought he never looked to that side of the field to give himself a chance, and Tony was open on the slant route. He missed him. Turnover on downs. The frustration and the disappointment on the face of Tony Gonzalez said it all. And you could read his lips on the sideline. I was open. He didn't even look. He missed me. I was open. And he kept saying it over and over and over again. And Roddy White comes over. They flash away and they come back to Tony Gonzalez about a minute later. As the 49ers are on the field on offense, they go back over to Tony Gonzalez sitting on the sideline. And Roddy White walks over and he says, "What'd you look like on that play?" And so you could read his lips. He says, "Open." And I felt the same way. I felt like Matt Ryan forced it to Roddy White in tight coverage. There were about 3 49ers right around Roddy White on that play. That's not where he needed to go. If there's that many 49ers on the play around Roddy White, that means Julio Jones is probably getting favorable coverage and Tony Gonzalez was getting favorable coverage. And it turns out Tony Gonzalez had the favorable coverage, and he should have went to Tony Gonzalez. I thought Matt Ryan picked the worst time of the game to really not use his better judgment. And again, I thought a lot of that had to do with his arm injury. I don't know if he's ever been in that much pain before, but he wasn't dealing with the pain well. You can see he was really grimacing, and he was really having a hard time blocking out the pain. You could tell it was affecting him. And I think mentally it affected him there. Maybe if he's not in pain, he goes to his next read instead of locking on to Roddy White and forcing it, maybe he goes to Tony Gonzalez and gives Tony a chance. Because even if you give it to Tony Gonzalez high and he's in coverage, we've seen Tony make difficult catches in traffic and come down with the football. So I just think that if you're in a situation when you have to have it, why not throw it to the guy with the strongest hands on the team that you know if you get it in his general vicinity, he's probably going to come down with it. And Tony Gonzalez, I don't know why that's not your first option there, but nonetheless, the Falcons needed all three of their timeouts. Here we go. I told you we were going to come back to it. This is an instance where you need all three of your timeouts. Falcons only had 2. We're talking about less than a minute and 25 seconds to go in the game. So the 49ers run a play. It's a run play, of course. Falcons stop them, call timeout. So now we're talking about a minute and 9 seconds to go. Falcons call another timeout after another run by the 49ers that's unsuccessful. Falcons use their second timeout. This time with right around a minute to go in the game. And here, this is when you know that last timeout is going to loom large. Because you know, in the National Football League, there's a 40-second play clock. And after the play is run, when the ball is marked ready for play, that clock starts to wind. And when you don't have another timeout to stop it, if there's a minute and 9 seconds left, they run the play, and the ball is marked for play with 59 seconds left, that means 40 of those 59 seconds are going to tick off before the other team calls a timeout or it proceeds to snap the football and kick it to you. So you're losing 40 seconds. And at this time, the Falcons didn't have that kind of time because the 49ers were going to put one of the best punters in the league and Andy Lee on the field. Frank Gore happened to get about 7 to 8 yards on third down because it was 3rd and 15. The 49ers had a delay of game, and that's something that they need to work on. Young quarterbacks, to me, seem to struggle with clock management in terms of delay of games. We saw it a week ago with Joe Flacco struggling against the Denver Broncos. We saw it again this week with Colin Kaepernick in this game, 2 delay of games for the 49ers. That's something that they'll need to work on, but again, you get better with clock management and finding a way to avoid delay of games as you become more comfortable playing in the National Football League. The more experience you have, the less likely it is you're going to get a delay of game as a quarterback. But they let Frank Gore rip off about an 8-9 yard run, which gave them space and it ate up precious seconds off the clock. And so it gave Andy Lee the space he needed to get off a good kick. It ate off more time. Falcons only get the ball back with about 12 seconds on the clock, and it's not enough time as Andy Lee booted it to around the 35-yard line. So really, at this point, if you're the Falcons, you're just trying to get a completion and then maybe set up a Hail Mary attempt. But with Matt Ryan's arm in the condition that it was in, and this is his non-throwing shoulder, he couldn't chuck it 60 yards down the field. He just wasn't going to be able to make it to the end zone. And so he throws a lifeless pass over the middle to Julio Jones, who catches it about 25 yards down the field, but with no timeouts. That pass does you no good. The time expires, and the San Francisco 49ers are your NFC champions, and they're going to the Super Bowl. Hats off to the San Francisco 49ers for doing everything that it took to win this game. Defensively, they stepped up in the second half, not allowing a single Atlanta Falcon point. Again, to me, I think it was more about what the Falcons weren't able to do more so than what the 49ers were able to do. But I'm a person that loves to give credit when credit is due, and the 49ers deserve all the credit in the world. They were down 17-0. They were down 24-14, and they battled back each and every single time. They fumbled at the 1-yard line with a chance to take the lead. They did not waver. They got the football back, went down the field, and got those points that were just wiped off the board by that turnover. They were magnificent on defense in the second half. To the victors go the spoils. They deserve all the credit in the world. But to me, this is the Atlanta Falcons' inability to close. And this is something that really plagued them all season long, that killer instinct. They were able to get away in the regular season by beating teams of lesser talent, by beating teams of lesser caliber. But in the playoffs, everyone is good. They couldn't close out Seattle. They had to come from behind to win that game. They couldn't close out San Francisco, and this time it bit them in the butt. And I just think that the Atlanta Falcons will be shooting themselves over the offseason as they had ample opportunities to win this game. the turnovers, the penalties, the inability to get stops defensively when you needed them really proved to be the difference in this game as the Atlanta Falcons fall 28-24 in the NFC Championship game to the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers are going on to the Super Bowl. Falcons are going home. So we know the winner in the NFC. We know the Super Bowl participant in the NFC, which brings us to our AFC Championship tilt. The New England Patriots hosting the Baltimore Ravens, the same two teams from the AFC Championship game a year ago. And there's really not a lot of analysis for this game. It really isn't a lot to break down. I felt like I hit this one on the head. And there really wasn't a lot of a breakdown for the game leading up to the game on Friday. I really didn't think I needed to say much. I felt like I said everything I needed to say. And I'm going to be very brief with this because I felt like the game unfolded just the way I thought it would. I thought that the Ravens were going to feel out the New England Patriots, allow the Patriots to have opportunities but not actually capitalize on anything. I felt like the Ravens were going to just hang tough, hang in there, buy their time until they had an opportunity to strike. You know how I feel about Joe Flacco. I'm not even going to go there with you about Joe Flacco because now everyone wants to jump on the Joe Flacco train. Everyone wants to talk about Joe Flacco's elite, Joe Flacco's this, Joe Flacco's that. I don't want to hear any of that because I've been singing the praises of Joe Flacco from day one. So I'm not going to go there. I told you so guy. I am a guy that loves to say, I told you so. But I'm not going to take this opportunity to use this time to do that. What I'm going to tell you is I expected the Ravens to win this game. I expected the Patriots to struggle with the Ravens because that's what the Patriots do with the Ravens. They struggle. I told you, if there's one team in the National Football League that's not fazed by the Patriot way, that's not fazed by the Patriot mystique, it's the Baltimore Ravens. They're not afraid of the Patriots. In fact, if there's one team in the league that might actually be able to lay claim to owning the Patriots, it's these Ravens. They're not afraid of them. Whether it's in Baltimore, whether it's in Foxborough, the Baltimore Ravens get it done against the Patriots. And even when the Patriots do beat them, it's close. And so I expected the Ravens to win this game. What I didn't expect, however, was for them to win it in such convincing fashion. 28-13? Who saw that coming? Who saw the Patriots scoring 13 first half points and not scoring a single point in the second half? I could see Brady throwing 2 interceptions. He threw 2 interceptions last year against this Baltimore Ravens defense. So it doesn't surprise me that Brady had a subpar game. He has subpar games against the Baltimore Ravens. Does not surprise me. He was without Gronkowski. We know what Danny Woodhead was dealing with, so we knew he wasn't going to be 100%. We've seen Wes Welker have a penchant for dropping the ball at the wrong times. He dropped a couple in this football game. But look, all that aside, the Ravens just know how to play the Patriots. Simple as that. They're teams that know how to play other teams in the National Football League. Styles make fights. Every time these two teams do battle and get in a fight, it seems like the Ravens always know when to throw the counterpunch. They know when the Patriots are going to try to come in for that thunderous right hand. And they always seem to know when to counter with a thunderous uppercut against the New England Patriots. As simple as that. And they did it again in this game. Flacco was magnificent. He was almost flawless in this game. He missed a couple of throws early in the first half. Could have hit Pitta a couple of times, but he was good. He was solid in this game. He was what I expect out of a guy who continues to tell everyone who will listen, I'm elite. I can get it done. I've said it before. You give Joe Flacco the football and tell him that you need a score. I feel confident to say 8, possibly 9 out of 10 times, Joe Flacco will bring you back your football with the lead or with a tie game. And at the end of the day, that's all you can ask for. That's all you can ask for. And so he did it again in this game, took his team down the field when they needed him to do it. The defense rose to the occasion, got after Brady. And I told you, if you get Brady off of his spot, you make him uncomfortable, you can force him into mistakes. The Ravens did that. The Patriots offense really never got in sync. There you have it. 28-13 win for the Baltimore Ravens. They are your Super Bowl participant from the AFC. They are your AFC conference champions. So they will be playing the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl. Man, I didn't want this to happen. And I have nothing against either one of these teams. But you know we're going to get wall-to-wall coverage of the Harbaugh brothers. It's going to be ad nauseum. They're going to talk about it every single day, non-stop. That's all we're going to hear about. Oh, my head is hurting already. This is why I did not want this to occur. Now we got to hear the whole brother thing. We're going to have to hear about how they grew up as kids, how they grew up in the household with their dad coaching football, yada, yada, yada. I don't care. I don't care. Now we got to hear it. We don't have a choice. Now you got idiot media types that don't normally cover the National Football League coming from everywhere. They're going to ask the same questions over and over and over again. Oh, how does it feel to be brothers in the Super? Oh, my God. Will there be any animosity? Oh, my God. This is going to be the worst. And that's why I did not want these two teams making it to the Super Bowl. But take nothing away from either one of these teams. They both deserve to go because when they needed to turn it up defensively, both of these teams, they did it. The Ravens had an improbable win a week ago in Denver. They come back and they follow it up with another huge win on the road. And you look at it, this Ravens defense beat Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady in successive weeks. That's impressive. I mean, that is one heck of a way to go riding into the Super Bowl. You look at the 49ers, their path wasn't too much different. They beat Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan to get to the Super Bowl. So no slouches on their end either. So these defenses, these teams deserve to be where they are. So that's a touchdown. Go ahead and throw it up. Want to tackle on this quick extra point. And honestly, that's it. That's all, folks. There you have it. Your Super Bowl has been set. The Baltimore Ravens will be taking on the San Francisco 49ers. Can it be? Can it really be that the football gods will give Ray Lewis a storybook ending? No way. Can it be that it was all so simple then? No, it can't be that simple. There's no way it can be that simple. That Ray Lewis, right before the playoffs are set to go underway, announces that this is it. I'm hanging them up. This is my last ride. And this ride ends in a Super Bowl championship. No way the football gods allow it to go down that beautifully. No way do they allow it to go down that seamlessly. No way do the football gods allow it to end so perfectly. No way. No way. The football gods never let things happen the way they're supposed to. They never unfold the way they were supposed to. The Patriots were supposed to go 18-0. Not on the football gods' watch. I was supposed to get my dream matchup in 1998 between the Minnesota Vikings and the Denver Broncos. Not going to happen. You never get what you want in the National Football League. It's just the way it goes. And so, Ray Lewis winning the Super Bowl championship on his way out the door. Ed Reed getting one before he probably hangs it up too. No. Just sounds too right. And you know how I feel about the football gods. If it sounds right, it smells right, it feels right, it ain't right. Because it's the football gods. Let me give you a quick Patriot and Ravens react before we step out of here. Patriots, they left this game looking like the sore losers that they've always been portrayed to be. Bill Belichick didn't want to speak to the media after the game. He declined to give an interview to CBS, was then ripped by Shannon Sharp, and rightfully so, about not giving the interview. You have to be gracious in defeat as you are in victory. Now look, Bill Belichick is the same guy when they win and when they lose. And so this is what you've come to expect from him. But it doesn't make it any easier or more acceptable. He still needs to handle his obligations to the National Football League, to his team, and to himself. Really, give the interview. But he didn't have to do anything he didn't want to do. He chose to take the low road instead of the high road. He didn't do the interview. He was ripped by Shannon Sharpe, and I felt like those things needed to be said. I think people tend to walk on eggshells when talking about the Patriots. No. Treat them like everyone else. Sometimes they're arrogant. Sometimes that Patriot way and that mystique is always praised. But I think sometimes the way they do things is nothing short of lowballing people. They lowball the media. They lowball the players that work so hard for them. They traded Richard Seymour undeservingly. And they don't keep guys. They don't want to pay Wes Welker. These are the things that the Patriots do, and everyone wants to give them kudos. And most times, everyone wants to give them kudos for it, calling it the Patriot way. No. It's selfish. It's arrogant. And sometimes it's downright wrong. And here was an instance where the Patriots and Bill Belichick were just flat out wrong. And they were called out on it. Much respect and kudos. Standing ovie to Shannon Sharpe for calling them out on that. Also, Ravens react. Terrell Suggs went off on a tangent about how arrogant the Patriots are. He's right, but did he need to say it? No. Do you have a problem with him saying it? No. Ray Rice feels like they have a mission in front of them and they have to carry it out because of Ray Lewis. Torrey Smith feels like, hey, we're not just playing this for Ray Lewis. You got guys with mixed emotions. You know how Ray Lewis feels. He feels like he's on cloud nine. He can't believe that this ride is continuing all the way to the Super Bowl. Ed Reed feels like, I finally have a shot. I finally got a chance. And so, here it is. This is it. Anquan Boldin guaranteed a win. They delivered. So, the Ravens are feeling really confident right now. This is going to be a great matchup. And we'll talk about it a lot later on in the week. As you know, there's a week off before the game, so there's plenty of time to get to this. We'll allow the media to just drown us out with the Harbaugh talk. Oh, my goodness. You know what? Let's just end it there. It's been a great episode. Covered a lot of ground. Stay tuned for the L.A.B follow-up. San Diego Chargers are on the docket. We'll talk Chargers football. You know all the ways to contact the show. There's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's YouTube, there's the inbox. In the lab room, all you need to know, the inbox is in the lab room at gmail.com. Thank you for joining me on the program today. Want to see you back here same time, same place. As always, have a good one. Enjoy your week. Try not to indulge in so much Harbaugh on Harbaugh talk. Please. There's going to be plenty of it. Make sure you take it in moderation. Good luck.